You are listening to Football Live on Brilla FM with Barry Swain.
Welcome to Football Live, just 4 days after an eventful 2-2 draw at Old Trafford. Leeds United and Manchester United meet again today, this time across the other side of the Pennines in Yorkshire at Elland Road. Historically, these two are big rivals, and this is a big match for both. Football Live has its best eyes on Leeds United against Manchester United. We kick off just 14 minutes or so away, and team news is just moments away too. Hertha Berlin escaped relegation last season. Have they got another great escape plan? Because they go into today's home match against Borussia Monchengladbach 5 points from guaranteed safety in 17th. We'll be crossing to the German capital for updates on that game throughout the afternoon. Bologna against Monza is our featured match in Italy's Serie A, where of course Victor Osimhen is in action later on this afternoon for Napoli against bottom of the table Cremonese. But let's get ourselves up to date, shall we, with the team news at Elland Road. Manchester United team news from Matthew Key in just a moment. But first of all, let's hook up with our other reporter at the game today, Josh Bailey. Good afternoon, Josh. Can you run through the Leeds team news for us?
Yes, I would absolutely love to do that. It's good to hear you back as well today, Barry. It's fantastic to hear you back on Football Live today. So the Leeds team news is as followed. It's Meslier in goal with Ayling as right back. Then you've got a back two with Koch and Firpo. There's then Verba as well lining up at left back with a midfield of Adams and McKennie. McKennie starting once again after his move from Juventus in the summer. You've then also got, talking of summer, you've got Somerville, and then you've got Harrison, Bamford and Gonotto, who was on the score sheet just a couple of days ago at Old Trafford, putting Leeds up in front after they were pulled back eventually in that game. It ended 2-2. That's the Leeds team news there for you.
And then Matthew, good afternoon to you. Manchester United, one or two surprises in their starting lineup.
Yes, that's right, Barry. Sort of in the red corner, as it were, Manchester United representing Lancashire in a bit of a what you call a roses clash here in England. There's a few changes, as you mentioned. Looks like they're sticking with their usual 4-3-3 formation. But the headline news is that there's a surprise start for Harry Maguire. He's in for Lisandro Martinez. Varane, the other centre-half from the other day, who had an unfortunate own goal, he's out. Looks like Luke Shaw's going to move across to centre-back. And the big one for me, Jadon Sancho, fresh off his goal off the bench. He's rewarded with a start. He replaces the young Argentinian Alejandro Garnacho. So the United team in full, as I say, 4-3-3 formation with David De Gea in goal. Malacia, Shaw, Maguire, Diogo Dalot making up the back four. Fred, Marcel Sabitzer and Bruno Fernandes making up the midfield, with Christian Eriksen obviously out injured and Casemiro still suspended. And then up top, it's Rashford, the man in form, 11 goals this season. Jadon Sancho, the man who returned at Old Trafford the other day. And Wout Weghorst, much made of him and his lack of Premier League goals to start his Man United career. See if he can get up and running today. That is the Man United team in full, with just over 10 minutes to kick off here at Elland Road.
Thank you very much to Josh and Matthew, and of course we'll be back to them, well, just in a few moments' time. Let's hear from the Leeds United caretaker manager. Might be his second and his last game in charge. Still plenty of people being linked with the Leeds United managerial role, of course, at Elland Road, and they want to move relatively quickly. Let's hear from Michael Skabala on Wednesday's 2-2 draw at Old Trafford. He seemed very happy with his team's performance.
Without giving too much away, because we've got another game on Sunday against them, just to be, not to be passive, to be aggressive, to be free and go and try and attack them. The most rewarding part is how at the last moments we saw out the game. We got to a place where I thought we could win it, and then at times they have really good quality. We know that they're good players, and at the end there we had to dig deep and they had to show their personality to see out the game and get a point. I'm really proud of that.
Well, let's cross back, shall we, to Elland Road, catch up with Josh Bailey. Josh, another managerial bounce this week. Everton last week. Not to gloss things over here, Leeds are in big trouble at the moment, and we're expecting United to be better today than they were on Wednesday at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds, it was a surprise, really, that Leeds went 2-0 up in that game. I think most people were shocked because, obviously, they sacked Jesse March this time last week after their defeat at Nottingham Forest on Sunday. And then they're coming into this game. You do have these things called manager bounces. We saw with Bournemouth, and they had Gary O'Neill, who took them on a brilliant winning run after he was employed as caretaker manager, got the manager job, and now hasn't hit the same height. So there's a worry that Leeds might be doing that, but it was a really good performance from Leeds. I know the Leeds fans I have spoke to were really pleased with that, and to be 2-0 up at Old Trafford is fantastic, and they'll be happy with the point because they'll be taking any point they can get. But the bottom line is they need wins. They've only won they haven't won any game in 8. They're winless in 8 games. With Jesse March, they were playing some good football. They just weren't getting points. So the new manager that comes in is going to have to correct that. But the worrying thing is you're looking at it, they were linked with the Raul Vallecano manager who they couldn't get. There's no real manager out there for Leeds to employ. So, it's going to be a really troubling time for Leeds to see what they do here. But the most important thing is they need to start winning, and that needs to start today.
Jesse Marsh obviously sacked last week, the week before Frank Lampard. This morning, in case anyone out there hasn't heard, Nathan Jones was sacked by bottom of the table Southampton 1-0 up, and then Wolves reduced to 10 men, and yet they still lost at home to fellow strugglers Wolves yesterday. That was the last straw for the Southampton powers that be, and the axe has swung, and this morning Nathan Jones sacked as the manager of Southampton. Right, let's just quickly bring you up to date. We just heard that a mention there of Raul Vallecano. I can tell you they've taken the lead through Mauro Arambari in their game away at Getafe in La Liga. That game is just coming up towards half-time, and Raul Vallecano ahead in that game. Manchester United women are on the verge of winning 2-1 at Tottenham Hotspur in the WSL, and have just had Ella Toone red-carded. They're 2-1 up in that game. Beth England has scored for Spurs, but then Molly Bartrip scoring 14 minutes from time, and just moments later Ella Toone sent off. So that's where we're at in the latest scores so far. Now, kickoff at Ellen Road is just around the corner, and turning our attentions to Manchester United, the informed Marcus Rashford is on everyone's lips at the moment as he continues to bang in the goals, and he did so again the other night. This week, he spoke of his desire to win trophies. United still in the FA Cup. They're still in the Carabao Cup. The cup final, of course, in 2 weeks' time, which we'll have covered right here in exactly 2 weeks' time, right here on Football Live. And then Rashford also involved in the Europa League for United. So they're firing on 4 fronts, really. They're still on the periphery of the title race. I know realistically it is more a case of trying to make sure that they finish in the top 4. Let's hear from Marcus Rashford and his thoughts on winning a trophy for Manchester United this season.
So even at the start of this season, winning the League Cup, was that a huge target?
Yeah, 100%. It's a hunger for trophies that the club's always had, and even when I was younger growing up, you just knew, coming into February when that first trophy's available, if United are still in the hunt for it, they're going to want to win it. It's as simple as that, really. It's something that we've got installed in us, and I'm pleased that we've managed to put ourselves in a situation and a position to go and do that. If you're sticking around the position that you need to be, after Christmas the games just come non-stop, and if you manage to get yourself on a run of winning games, then it's inevitable, really, to find yourself in situations where you can win silverware. And I remember when we were younger, we used to just call it the business end of the season, and that's exactly what it is. And from experience of going through a season and being in all 4 competitions like we are this year, that's exactly what it is.
So that was Marcus Rashford. Let's cross back to the game at Elland Road and Matthew Key. Matthew, another goal for Rashford in midweek. He's on fire at the moment. He's been in great form since the World Cup, and indeed at the World Cup. United need a reaction, and they could do with all 3 points today, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. For all their sort of cup exploits this season and their success in that, obviously through to the Carabao Cup final, still in the FA Cup. They've only won 1 of their last 4 Premier League games, with draws to Palace and obviously Leeds the other day. Lost to Arsenal, with their only win coming at Crystal Palace. But yeah, Rashford will be the key for them once again. It was very strange to see him start on the right-hand side the other day, but came back, moved to the left in the second half, looked a completely different player, got his goal once again. So yeah, that's where he looks like he'll be operating right from the start today, with Sancho on the other side. And as I say, expect Rashford to be threat for Leeds all afternoon.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Matthew. And of course, we'll be across to both Matthew and Josh throughout the afternoon. Kickoff is fast approaching. Around about 4 minutes to go. The teams have done their warm-ups. They're back down the tunnel and they should be back out very soon. Manchester United have won at Tottenham in the WSL despite being down to 10 men. Feyenoord, top of the Eredivisie in the Netherlands. They conceded a goal in the first half at home to Heerenveen, who are pushing for a place in Europe. The goal for the northern side was disallowed, and Feyenoord have gone straight down the other end and taken the lead. The lead leaders through Lucharel Geertruida with a goal on 22 minutes. So the leaders ahead in the Eredivisie. Now, kickoff at Leeds is just around the corner. Kickoff in Italy at Bologna is moments away. Bologna have hit good form with 3 wins in their last 5, but they're still a long way off the top 6. Monza won their last away game at Juventus. Watching this one for us is Matteo Liguri.
Yeah, hello everyone. Hello Barry. And to be fair, I really feel for this game because everything screams that this is going to be a wonderful afternoon in Bologna. Both teams are on form and both teams are proving to be exceptional, and even when they attack, they do it in a very entertaining way. Bologna have had a few surprises in their lineup, including Marco Arnautovic sitting on the bench as Ferguson, the Scottish striker, is starting in his place. The former Aberdeen player has gone on an absolute run, and he scored plenty of goals in his Serie A season. He scored 3 goals since the World Cup finished. So he's going to be a player to keep an eye on. Another one we should focus on is Orsolini, as always, Nico Dominguez, and even the defender Posch, who is being closely observed by many top teams in Serie A, including the big guys such as Inter, Roma, Napoli and Juventus. Bones, on the other hand, have a former Napoli player as their main man up top today, Andrea Petagna. They've only got 2 foreign players, and they are crucial to their success in this lineup, as they have Pablo Mari, former Arsenal defender, leading their defensive line, together with Marlon, former Shakhtar Donetsk defender, so somebody who's played in the Champions League before. Other notable players include Pessina, a former Atalanta player, and former Inter midfielder Stefano Sensi, who is back from injury. To be fair, the team who wins between these two has got a solid chance to dream about European football. Torino is only 4 points away from Monza and 1 point away from Bologna, so they might get into the race for Conference League. We would have said that at the beginning of the season, since Monza have just been promoted for the Serie B. Well, not me, but that's the beauty of Serie A, an unpredictable league, and today it's going to be a very unpredictable game.
Thank you very much, Matteo. We'll be across to you for updates as and when the action unfolds in our featured match in Italy. Half an hour away from kickoff in Berlin and the Bundesliga. Team news for Hertha Berlin against Borussia Monchengladbach comes from Jordan Nicolai.
Good afternoon, Barry, and good afternoon, listeners. I'll start with the Hertha Berlin team news. Nigerian specialist dribbler Chidera Eduke is a long-term absentee. He's ruled out with a knee injury. There's 3 changes to the Hertha Berlin lineup. Namsi Gersi and Dardai step in. And for Borussia Monchengladbach, Weigl is suspended, so in comes Hannes Wolf into the midfield. Looking forward to this one. Hertha Berlin versus Borussia Monchengladbach, almost 30 minutes till kickoff.
Thank you very much, Jordan. So that's our 3 games covered. We've got all the team news. We've got the teams on the pitch at Ellen Road. Manchester United's Fernandes and Sancho embracing themselves. Jadon Sancho back with a bang in midweek with a draw against Leeds United. He, of course, scored the second goal, the equaliser, as Manchester United came from 2-0 down to pinch a draw against managerless Leeds United. There isn't an empty seat in the house. It's Leeds United against Manchester United, and kickoff is just a few moments away, and we will be right across all of the action as it unfolds at Ellen Road throughout the afternoon. It's Manchester United just about to kick off. It's Leeds United against Manchester United. Stick with us right here on Brunner FM for all the big Premier League action.
You are listening to Football Live on Brunner FM.
You are indeed listening to Football Live on Brilla FM. Last night, 2 goals from Valverde, 2 goals from Vinicius Jr., helping Real Madrid win the FIFA Club World Cup. On Saturday evening, that was. So the Nigerian international Edion Igalo making a late appearance as a substitute in the game for Al Hilal, who did make a fight of it, losing 5-3 in the end. Luciano Vieta scoring twice for Al Hilal. And so that's last night. On about today, and we're off and underway. Let's head to Ellen Road and catch up nice and early with Matthew Key. Matthew, we're off and underway, and we mentioned it earlier. They've got to be better today, Manchester United, haven't they? And they're off to a positive start in the opening minute or so.
Yeah, nice bit of possession early on for Man United. Must say that the atmosphere at Ellen Road is absolutely electric, Barry. It's definitely going to help with the 12th man for Leeds on the pitch today. Absolutely buzzing, which is obviously going to make it difficult for Man United. So they've got to deal with that. Make sure they keep the first 10 minutes nice and tight, unlike the other day. And yeah, they can move on from there. But yeah, nice bit of possession early on for the visitors. They've settled in quite nicely. Leeds looking to press really high, but still opening stages here, 0-0 between Leeds United and Man United at Ellen Road.
Matthew, while you're there, just looking at the formation, it does look as if they're playing the 3 at the back. Manchester United, just having a quick glance there. Luke Shaw on the left, and in the middle of that lineup, we've of course got Harry Maguire. It does look like a 3 at the back, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, it could certainly be like that, actually, Barry. As I say, Maguire sort of playing the central centre-back role, with Luke Shaw maybe slightly peeling to the left. So we'll have to see how that develops, but certainly could be that in these early stages. But yeah, we'll have to see if that's just temporary or that's a pattern that continues throughout the game.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Might actually just be me looking up and looking as if they got a back 3, because Luke Shaw is hugging the near touch line on the monitor next to me here. Angers 1, Auxerre 0 in the French Ligue 1. A very early goal there from Ibrahima Niane, giving the hosts a lead. In fact, it's been taken off of him and given to Rayan Raveloson as an own goal, just as I give him a name check. Sorry, mate, but the goal has been taken off you, and it's an own goal in that game. Toulouse have beaten Rennes in the earlier kickoff in France by 3 goals to 1. Heerenveen 0, Feyenoord 1. In the Netherlands, in the Eredivisie, and in Spain at half-time, Real Vallecano are leading at Getafe by a goal to 0. Let's cross to Josh Bailey, who's also watching the game in the early stages between Manchester United and Leeds United, and Leeds United and Manchester United. I'm getting the fixtures muddled up. They did only play 4 days ago, of course. But Josh, a positive opening for Manchester United, but it's a big game for Leeds United just as much as it is for Manchester United.
Yeah, both teams. This is. I spoke about it briefly before, how huge this game is. Leeds haven't won in 8. Manchester United, maybe you could argue they're in a little bit of bad form, draws against Palace, draws against Leeds as well, and a loss to Arsenal. So they're not, they're playing brilliant football at the moment. It's a much more improved United side. However, their bad form, it may be creeping in a little bit. So this could be a really, really crucial game, especially with Manchester United, because Newcastle dropped points yesterday, Arsenal dropped points. If they win today, they could be in the title fight. And as for Leeds, well, again, Wolves won yesterday. Teams are picking up points around them, down the bottom of the table, so both teams need 3 points desperately.
Excellent, thanks Josh. And staying with the game there, Matthew Key alongside you. Big chance in the game already, and a massive chance, and I've just looked at the replay again, and this ball really should be in the back of the net, and it's a big chance for Leeds United, Matthew.
Yes, that's right. We mentioned United looking comfortable early on. Well, they certainly didn't there. Some schoolboy defending almost. It was it was McKennie who was just allowed to wander down the left-hand side, put a cross into an open Patrick Bamford, who got it across. De Gea used his feet really well to push the ball out, but he could only push it to Somerville, the man starting today. And he's about 8 yards out. The goal's gaping. All he can do is put it over. That was a huge chance for Leeds. They really should have taken that one, I think, and gone early ahead, just like they did the other day.
Excellent, thank you, Matthew. So a big chance there. There's an injury just breaking up play at the moment. Manchester United have got a player down, and I'm just trying to see who the player is. I think it's Milicia that's gone down under the challenge. And so a stoppage in play there as the medics come on. Feyenoord have just extended their lead in the Eredivisie to 2-0. The leaders ahead at Heerenveen. Tough game that, so if they can pick up all 3 points there, they'll be well on their way. Feyenoord, it's been a few years since they won the title, and they usually live in the shadow of the likes of PSV and also, of course, Ajax. In France, Montpellier have taken the lead against Brest at the Stade de la Mosson, both sides on 20 points and just above the drop zone. That's a very big game, that one. And Montpellier are ahead in the opening 6 minutes of that 6-pointer down at the bottom. Santiago Jimenez with the second goal for Feyenoord. So that's just brought you up to date at the moment. Still a breaking play through injury at Ellen Road. Will be, of course, across all of the action as it unfolds at Ellen Road with both Josh and Matthew. Let's turn our attentions now to the late kickoff. We've not got it covered here on Football Live, but we're still going to turn our attentions to it nonetheless. Pep Guardiola is the Manchester City manager, and of course this week Manchester City in the news for all the wrong reasons. Over 100 charges brought against Manchester City, so all eyes were on Pep Guardiola when he faced the media just a couple of days ago.
My first words on behalf of the club is for our thoughts for the people in Turkey and Syria for this terrible moment. It's happened. My first thought is that we are already being condemned. That between 90 teams of the Premier League is accusing us without letting us the opportunity to defend. And the word of my club, my owner, my chairman, my CEO, my people explain everything during these 3 or 4 years.
Interesting words from Pep Guardiola. First of all, obviously, where he spoke at the beginning about the tragedy that's unfolded in the last week in Syria and Turkey, and everyone here at Brilla FM and Football Live passes on our condolences and best wishes to everyone involved with that disaster over in Turkey and Syria. But what he went on to say there was pretty much pointing the finger at the other clubs in the Premier League and indeed in the English Football League system and saying, well, everyone's pointing to us and saying we're guilty. Well, if I was any other club other than Manchester United, I'm sure I'd be standing up and saying, hold on a minute, I haven't pointed an accusing finger saying that you're guilty. But that's what Pep Guardiola has come out with this week. And will they come out all guns blazing today? They're playing Aston Villa. It's the late kickoff. We'll hear a little bit later on in the show from Unai Emery on Villa's chances in that game at the Etihad. That's the late kickoff today. It's Manchester City against Aston Villa. We'll also hear from the two managers in the Merseyside derby tomorrow night. It's Liverpool against Everton. What a big match that is. It's always a big match when those two come together. The two stadiums, of course, not very far apart at all, just across Stanley Park. They meet at Anfield tomorrow afternoon. Should be an absolutely brilliant game, that one. That's Liverpool against Everton tomorrow afternoon. Right, let's head back to Ellen Road, shall we? And let's catch up with Matthew Key. Matthew, it's a high-tempo game. We've played nearly 9-10 minutes. High-tempo game. Manchester United had a purposeful attack just a couple of moments ago. It's a very good watch so far, isn't it?
Absolutely, Barry. I think it's exactly what you'd expect from both these teams. Obviously, you can never look too much into Leeds United's league position. They're always going to play the same way, try and be on the front foot, try and entertain the crowd, and always go for 3 points, take their game to the opposition. That's exactly what they're doing. The Ellen Road crowd still very boisterous, getting behind their team. Every tackle that goes in from a Leeds player greeted with a big cheer. Every tackle from a United player jeers, appeals for a foul, but United, as I say, dealing with it very well at the minute. About 10 minutes in now, and the game's settling into a really nice rhythm, but still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
As a broadcaster, I've had many delays in football matches. I've seen a spectator jump onto the field and tie wrap himself to a goalpost. Not quite the same in Italy. Our featured game is now underway. Bologna against Monza at the Stadio Renato Dallari. But Matteo Liguri, there was a delay in the kickoff for this game because of a problem with the net, I understand, in the goal.
Yeah, it was fortunately dealt with pretty quickly, to be fair. But one of the nets, if I remember correctly, it was Monza's net, was actually broken. So one of Bologna's groundmen and Keaton to run into the pitch and fix the problem quickly. And the game started 2 minutes later, and so far 8 minutes gone, and that's probably been the most exciting thing about the game. Even though Bologna are pressing high and it's looking promising, the result is still 0-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Matteo. Still 0-0 in both of our games that are kicked off. Of course, we'll be across Hertha Berlin against Borussia Monchengladbach at the Olympiastadion. Big game in the Bundesliga when that gets underway in just under 20 minutes time. So, at the moment, where there are goals, Vallecano leading at Getafe 1-0, Feyenoord 2-0 up at Heerenveen. 3 goals in the early kickoffs in the French league after just 12 minutes. 4 games, 3 goals. Montpellier leading Brest 1-0, Rennes leading Troyes 1-0, and Angers are 1-0 up in their game against Auxerre at the Stade Ramon Coppa. And that's a massive game, by the way, that game, because Angers and Auxerre are the bottom 2 in that league. Rayan Ravaloson with an own goal. Getafe have just missed a penalty early in the second half in the Spanish La Liga. It's still Getafe 0, Rayo Vallecano 1. Let's head back to Ellen Road, shall we, and catch up with Josh Bailey. Josh, nearly 12 minutes gone now, in fact. And I've just said to Matthew, it's a good watch. It's an entertaining watch, high tempo. What have you made of it so far?
I mean, it's exactly what you'd expect of a game like this. I think when people talk about the derbies and what's the best derby in the world and what's the best derby in the league, they overlook Manchester United v Leeds. Both teams really do hate each other. Both teams really want to win, despite maybe what Manchester United fans will say. So it's not a surprise here. The Ellen Road crowd are one of the best in the world. And, when they get on the team, when they start roaring, when they start cheering, it really does make the game so much better. And you're seeing that right here. Leeds playing with such intensity, and then Man United doing their best to try and match that. So, yeah, I'm not surprised, and I mean it's really good to see. It's why we love the English game.
As soon as the ball hits the back of the net, you'll hear all about it right here on Football Live, exclusive to Brilla FM.
There has been an opening goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Oh, he's gone and done it, hasn't he? Harry Kane has broken the Jimmy Greaves Tottenham Hotspur goal scoring record. That was how it unfolded last Sunday right here on Brilla FM. Today, it's all about Leeds United and Manchester United. Leeds United down towards the bottom without a manager, sacking Jesse March earlier in the week, picking up a good point in the game away at Manchester United. And, United, of course, needing points today for the whole different reason up at the top end of the table. And Arsenal drawing yesterday, maybe a win today, and United, in the eyes of some, are back in it. There's been a free kick to Leeds United in a dangerous position. Let's cross over to Matthew Key and hear all about it. I've just looked at that free kick. Very promising position, Matthew. Very, very poorly executed.
That will not make the Ellen Road crowd happy, Barry. I have to say, free kick in a brilliant position, probably 20 yards out, edge of the box. Great range for a shot or a cross. And Leeds tried, very clever. Little pass from Jack Harrison. Looked like he was going to play a 1-2. It was just cut out immediately by Fred. It was such a waste. The Ellen Road crowd, I'd say, groaned with disappointment after that one. So not one that you'll be seeing on the highlight reel, I don't imagine, after the game. But still a promising start from Leeds, and hopefully next time they get one in that position, they might actually try and put it in the box. But yeah, it looks like they've just forced a corner now, or a goal kick. Either way, 15 minutes gone, still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Matthew. We'll be across to both Matthew and Josh very, very shortly. Carlos Elena has been shown his second yellow card of the afternoon, and having just missed a penalty, Getafe are now down to 10 men in La Liga against Real Vallecano, who lead by 1-0. It's Liverpool women 0, Leicester City women, who are bottom 1. Hannah Kane with an early goal in that game. Rennes have taken the lead against Troyes through Marshall Munetzi after just 10 minutes in the French League 1. Let's head back to Ellen Road and let's have a chat with Josh Bailey. Josh, I wanted to bring to your attention, and I you may well have mentioned it earlier on in the United team news, Manchester United team news between you and Matthew, but David De Gea is making his 400th Premier League appearance today. Great stats against him. I mean, he is one of the all-time Premier League greats in terms of goalkeeper. He has to be with the stats that are filed against him. 138 clean sheets and 399 Premier League appearances. You know, he does get lambasted from time to time when he makes a mistake, but overall, he's such a good goalkeeper, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's one of the best to ever grace the Premier League, and even Manchester United. That's saying something because they've had so many historic goalkeepers. There was that period, wasn't there? Gosh, I'm back to 2018, maybe, where he was making a lot of mistakes. And a lot of Manchester United fans wanted him out. However, for one reason or another, he stuck around and he's continued to grow. And they say goalkeepers get better with age, and I think that David Gea is a real case of that. In the last year or two, he hasn't really made too many mistakes. He's become that solid, reliable goalkeeper that Manchester United need. And I think it's a shame, really, because I think that people maybe forget about David De Gea due to that little patch that he had where he wasn't great, and they kind of forget about him when talking about the greatest Premier League goalkeepers of all time. But he's certainly that in my eyes.
Excellent. And Matthew, while we're across there, it's still, I think it's fair to say, 17 minutes gone, it's been pretty even Steven so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I'd like to mention actually is that we saw a few shocking decisions yesterday, but in the early stages of this one, and it is the early stages, Paul Tierney, the referee, I really like the way he's started to officiate this game, trying to let it flow as much as possible. That's what we want to see. It's going to be competitive, it's going to be tight, but I like the fact he's tried to play advantage, kept the cards into his pocket up till now. So hopefully that will be continued, and we'll be talking about what a great game it was at the end of it, and not another decision that's gone against one team one way or another.
Yes, indeed. Yesterday was all about VAR and drawing wrong lines and getting 3 big decisions wrong, which was terrible. By the way, those guys on VAR down at Stockley Park, I was down at Stockley Park yesterday. I would like to put this on record that I was not doing VAR in any of those Premier League games, but I did feel like, having seen one of them on the live feed, that I wanted to go and knock on the door and say, what on earth are you doing? VAR making all of the headlines for all of the wrong reasons. Montpellier now 2-0 up against Brest in that big game down towards the bottom in Ligue 1 in France. A penalty from Teji Savagna after just 17 minutes, and they're already in complete control of that game. Vitesse and Utrecht are 0-0 at half-time in the Eredivisie at the Gelre Dome, 13th against 7th in that game. Right, that brings you up to date with how things are unfolding so far in the big game that we have covered right here on Brilla FM and Football Live. It's Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0. Just coming up to 19 minutes gone, very even. Not too many chances. Leeds had that really good chance in the opening couple of minutes, which was fired over the top of the crossbar, but no further progress being made by either side in that game. Although United are on the attack with Jadon Sancho at the moment, and we'll be straight across to Elland Road for all the latest updates as they unfold throughout the afternoon. Don't forget to interact with us on social media here at Brilla FM, at Brilla FM 889 on Twitter, and on Facebook at 889 Brilla FM. Yes, indeed. We'll be across on the top of the hour to Tony and the team in Brilla FM studios for an update on social media and a quick break for our guys at this end as we prepare for the second half. But there's still plenty of action in the first half. And let's go across to Matthew Key at Ellen Road, because there's been a chance for Manchester United and for Bruno Fernandes.
Yes, that's right, Barry. Bruno Fernandes really become an influential part of this side once again. Maybe time with the the departure, of Cristiano Ronaldo. That's all but speculation. But yeah, a chance for Bruno Fernandes. He started the move, actually. A really nice ball over the top for Jadon Sancho, who took on Junior Firpo, who incidentally has received a yellow card. He bided his time, found Bruno, who running onto it, right-footed shot, just hit wide. The Leeds fans enjoyed seeing that one go behind the goal. But yeah, good chance for Man United. Wasn't as gilt-edged as the one for Somerville and Leeds, definitely, but an encouraging sign for them. A lovely move, but nothing comes of it in the end. Still 0-0 between Leeds and Manchester United.
The big game in France, Angers against Auxerre. There's a penalty to Auxerre, a chance for them to equalise in that basement battle between the bottom two. Let's head to Italy now. Quick update from the early stages of the game between Bologna and Monza with Matteo Liguri.
Yeah, the game has gotten more spicy, thankfully so, because Bologna have had a great chance with a free kick from Orsolini, which was met by Rules Ferguson's head, and Di Gregorio had to perform a wonderful save to deny the Scot for its fourth goal in its Serie A campaign. To be fair, Monza also had a fair share of chances, including a penalty appeal, which wasn't given by the referee, but in my opinion, they should have given more attention to it, because I think there was contact and there might have been something to tell about the tackle, which wasn't actually taken care of by the referees. But there were not many complaints by the Monza players, so everything is running up smoothly, and the result is still 0-0.
Excellent. And later on today in Italy, all eyes on Victor Osimhen as well. He's banging in the goals. If you're a betting man, you've got to bet with Napoli. You've got to bet that Victor Osimhen is going to net a goal or two this afternoon, because they're playing Cremonese, who are bottom of the table and still haven't won a single league game this season. They're going down, and it seems to be without a fight. But, it's a game that has still got to win, isn't it, with Napoli?
I mean, you should say so, but considering the fact that Cremonese actually eliminated Napoli from the Coppa Italia, it is not certain. Considering also that even though Napoli won 4-1 in their first leg against Cremonese, it was a very fiercely fought game, actually closer than the result could have suggested. So I think it's going to be a tough game for Napoli. Cremonese have got a new manager, Ballardini, who's a specialist in relegation battle. It's kind of the Big Sam of Italy. So I don't think Napoli are in for a gentle stroll past Cremonese. I think they're going to struggle, but with the likes of Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia on form, there are few teams on earth who can stop this couple. Together with Lozano and Wissa, Lobotka, Mario Rui, to be fair, Napoli are looking great. They are 39 points away from the title. Who knows if it's going to be 36 after tonight? We'll only have to wait and see.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see. Lille have scored in France. Lille 1, Strasbourg 0. A goal in that game from Jonathan David to give the Northern France side the lead. And Angers 1, Auxerre 1. That bottom of the table clash. An equaliser for Auxerre from this penalty spot. Mathis Ablina after 22 minutes. So it's all square in that game. Right, let's get back to Ellen Road, shall we? Let's catch up with Josh Bailey. Looking at the clock with 24 played, and it's not been an open and entertaining end-to-end game with lots of chances like we were hoping for. 4 goals, I should say, in the game on Wednesday night. We're rather hoping there might be a few today as well.
Yeah, where have all the goals gone? We love goals on Football Live, but it seems like they all took them on Wednesday night and they've left none for Sunday. I think this could probably be expected to be honest with you, Barry, I think, these teams have been more used to each other now. They know how each other's play. Literally they played last Wednesday. Not much is going to change. Both have a distinct style of how they like to play. So this will probably be quite similar. I mean, clearly Ten Hag has tried to change things up by starting Maguire and Shaw. So things have tried to be a little bit different, and Malacia as well. So it's an interesting one. It is a really, really interesting one. But, these type of games, they are always cagey. They are always a bit to start with. But once there's one goal, once there's one opportunity, one incident, the game sparks into life.
And it's very much like the game last week, wasn't it, Josh, where Everton were taking on Arsenal, that bounce back. I know it's not the first game back it's not a new manager, it's a caretaker manager. But they'll be looking for a similar reaction as to what Everton gave Sean Dyche.
The manager bounce is the biggest fear factor in football. I'm pretty convinced, because that as soon as you're coming up against the club that has got a new manager at the helm, who's able to get the players and the fans rounded up because it's a new dawn, it's a new opportunity, those waves go through the whole club, and that team is really dangerous when they've got a freshness around them. And I think that's what Leeds are experiencing right now, and that's why Manchester United are facing them at the worst time possible.
Thank you very much, Josh. Staying with Ellen Road, Matthew Key. Very big chance for Leeds United. They've got another free kick, pretty much in the same position as last time. And this one wasn't a lot better, was it?
No, they did manage to get it in the box this time, but it was poor delivery. Easily cleared from Maguire. We could have wondered how he'd start this game, having not played too much. You mentioned it could be potentially a back three, but no, looks like it is a four. And I have to say, Maguire settled into the game very nicely. Come out with the ball from the defence a few times, played some sort of long raking passes that was his trademark at Leicester City, and we also see it for England as well. So yeah, nice to see Harry Maguire have a good start to this game. He's far too good a player to be sitting on the bench, not getting regular minutes. So yeah, good start for Maguire, good start for Man United overall. That Ellen Road crowd has just started to quieten down just a little bit. Still, Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0, just under half an hour played now.
Thank you very much for that update there, Matthew Key. And of course, as soon as there is a goal, we will be right across it here on Football Live on Brilla FM. And of course, when there is a goal, you'll hear this. Hallelujah! For the first time this afternoon, we have news of a goal in one of our featured games. It's not at Ellen Road, it's at the Stadio Renato Dell'Ari, and Matteo Liguri is on hand to tell us which way it's gone.
Yeah, and it's a fairy tale moment for Giulio Donati. A career in foreign football. He never scored in Serie A. He's 33. Monza got him on a free transfer last June, and he now scored their goal against Bologna. To be fair, much of the goal is due to the fact that Petagna went on an absolute run and obliterated Bologna's defence. He then went on to shoot, but Skripski was great at stopping the shoot, the attempt, even though he could do nothing on the great positional awareness of Giulio Donati, which allowed him to be in the perfect position to get on the rebound and score the advantage for Monza. It was a very nicely fought game. It had been more and more intense than compared to the start, and it shows now, since now Monza are leading 1-0.
Thank you very much for that. Bit of transfer news that we heard a little earlier on today. Fulham have allowed fullback Kevin Mbabu to join Servette. Started his career actually at Servette before moving on to Newcastle, Rangers, Young Boys, Wolfsburg, and then Fulham. He is from Switzerland and returns back to his roots, the Swiss international right fullback, let go by Fulham. That's been confirmed today. Jonathan David scored his second goal of the afternoon for Lille. They are 2-0 up on Strasbourg in the game at the Decathlon Arena. Lille 2 points off the European qualification places. Strasbourg down in the bottom four, battling against relegation. So that one is going by the form book, and Aston Villa leading Brighton 3-1 in the WSL, the Women's League. Jordan Nobbs with the third goal for Aston Villa. 4 goals in that game, 23 minutes played. Looks like a bit of a goal fest. Not such a goal fest at Leeds United against Manchester United. Let's head back to Matthew Key, and half an hour gone, and we're still waiting for that first goal.
Yes, and other than that, Somerville chance early on, waiting for our first significant shot on target, really. Just had a foul committed by Marcel Sabitzer from Man United. Some really nice play from Nonto. Flicked it over Diego Dallo's head at the right back position for Man United. Ran after it. Marcel Sabitzer came across, slide tackled him, cleared him out. He pointed at the ball. There was absolutely no way he could have got anywhere near it, and correctly once again from Paul Tierney, foul was given. No yellow card despite the protest from the Leeds players and of course the Ellen Road crowd. But yeah, just hopefully starting to liven up a bit. Obviously, you know that fouls in derby games can get the crowd up, can wake the players up a bit, so hopefully that will lead to some goal mouth action. Leeds have got yet another free kick here. We'll see if they can do any better from this one. Still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Thank you very much, Matthew Key, alongside Josh Bailey, watching that one, Leeds United against Manchester United, our feature game here on Football Live this afternoon in the English Premier League. Still 0-0 in that game. Yesterday, of course, we saw Arsenal dropping points at home to Brentford in a 1-1 draw. Chelsea could only draw 1-1 in the London derby away at struggling West Ham United. Newcastle 1-1 away at struggling Bournemouth. Looking ahead, we've also got more action this afternoon. It's Manchester City against Aston Villa. We heard from Pep Guardiola earlier on in the show. Now let's turn our attentions to the Aston Villa perspective. Unai Emery has come in, replaced Steven Gerrard, and he's done okay. Villa have gone scooting up the table, but a 4-2 defeat last weekend against Leicester City has suddenly announced that the Unai Emery honeymoon at Villa Park has well and truly ended. They'll be looking for a response today, Aston Villa. Maybe not the best time to be playing Manchester City. They might be a little bit like a wounded animal going into this afternoon's game. We shall wait and see. Let's hear from the Aston Villa manager, Unai Emery.
We have to work thinking. Defensively, we have to be strong, committed defensively. The attitude will be great in our player mind. And of course, when we will have a moment to attack, have a moment to keep ball possession, good positioning, we are going to try to impose as well already and to try to have our chances to score and to take possibilities to win. But thinking at the beginning, 90 minutes, is going to be a long match, and it's going to be a match we will defend strongly on Sunday.
Back to Ellen Road now. No chances, but Matthew Key, a little bit of an altercation involving Luke Ayling and Malacia. Referee Paul Tierney has stepped in and diffused the situation, but perhaps the first indication that this one could get a little bit feisty.
Yeah, a bit weird, bit of a strange one, to be honest, Barry. It wasn't quite the 20-man melee we saw last week when United played against Crystal Palace. But yeah, Luke Ayling and Malacia having a bit of a battle on the left-hand side. Ayling thought he was fouled. Probably was looking at the replays, but wasn't too much in it. Paul Tierney choosing to play on, and yeah, Luke Ayling not happy with either the contact or something that was said. Bit of a shirt pull, bit of a grab, nothing more than that. They've hugged each other. They're all friends now for the time being. But yeah, another few minutes gone now. 33 gone in total. Still 0-0 between Leeds and Manchester United.
And our featured game in the Bundesliga has kicked off. Hertha Berlin desperate for points down at the bottom, and they are taking on Borussia Monchengladbach this afternoon. That's just kicked off, 17th against 9th, and Chideri Ejuka is playing for Hertha Berlin? Can he weave his magic and help Hertha Berlin to a much needed victory this afternoon? We'll be across to Jordan Nicolai for updates in that game very, very shortly. So we've heard from both managers in the late kickoff, and at Elland Road, it remains Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0. Let's cross to Josh Bailey. Josh, who's watching this game alongside Matthew Key, haven't seen much of the big 6'6" Dutchman, Wout Weghorst. Stats have not really lent in his favour. Does have 10 goals and 4 assists in 25 appearances this season, if you take on board mainly what he's achieved in Turkey for Besiktas, but just 1 goal in 7 appearances, yet to score in the Premier League. And I think you can count the touches that he's had so far this afternoon on one hand, can't you?
Yeah, well, I probably only need one finger. But yeah, it's an interesting one about Weghorst. I think, again, the Manchester United fans I speak to are very much, they've been disappointed with how he's played, but at the same time, it's only about Weghorst. He didn't have a very good time at Burnley. Burnley fans didn't really like him. He didn't really show off the qualities that he did at his old club back in the Bundesliga. And then, so therefore, I don't think it should really be a surprise. He's there obviously to score goals, but he wouldn't have been their first option. He was playing at the Besiktas for a reason. And I think that, if he was Premier League quality after Burnley, more Premier League clubs would have been around him. They've got him because they desperately needed him. And therefore, I think you've kind of just got to you can't be expecting too much from him. That being said, he's a striker, he should be scoring goals. So it'll be an interesting one, but, he needs time to adjust, he needs time to develop to get into a new team, those old cliches. So let's give him benefit of the doubt for now. However, if you're getting into, March, April time, and he still hasn't scored any goals, well, then is your time to worry.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Josh. Bit of a shock in the Jupiler Pro League in Belgium because Genk are top. They're clear by 7 points. They're 15 points ahead of third place Antwerp. But Antwerp have gone to the Chegaka Stadium today and they've won by 1 goal to 0 in that game. 3 Nigerians playing in that game. 2 for Genk in Tulu. Rokadare and Yira Saw, and then Al Hassan Yusuf plays his football in Belgium for Antwerp. So they were all featuring in that game today. Genk, top of the table, still looking a good bet for the Champions League next season. 7 clear a second, but they lose at home to Antwerp 1-0 today. Results in the Premier League yesterday: Leicester City 4, Tottenham 1, Arsenal 1, Brentford 1, Crystal Palace 1, Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. Lots of 1-1 draws. Also Southampton 1, 10-man Wolves 2, and Fulham 2, Nottingham Forest 0. The early kickoff, West Ham United against Chelsea, finished 1-1. Let's get back to Elland Road. Manchester United pinging the ball around at the moment, trying to find a way of prizing open Leeds United, but it's still 0-0. And
yes.
It's got to come to Matthew. Sorry, Matthew. It's going to come to you.
No worries, bro. Yeah, still 0-0. I'm not going to say it's been a disappointing half, but it's certainly one you'd perhaps write down as requires improvement in the second. As you say, United keeping the ball very nicely, all very pretty, but not very effective at the moment. Leeds doing a good job, quite unlike Leeds actually, sort of sitting in, not really giving United anything rather than looking to press high like they normally, which can obviously lead to them facing difficulties at the back, but not too much of that. And as for United, I'd say all the possession, but not really creating too many clear-cut chances. That Bruno Fernandes one for them, the most notable of all. So they won't be happy with that. They'll be looking for an improvement in that one. Would not say a draw really suits either side here, and I imagine both will realise that, both will recognise that, and both will be looking for 3 points, if not at the end of the first half, certainly in the second, hopefully. Got about 5 minutes to go until half-time. I think there will be a couple minutes added on for stoppages, but still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Getafe missed a penalty, then they were reduced to 10 men, but they have found an equaliser with 13 minutes to go against Rayo Vallecano. in the Spanish La Liga, an equaliser for the strugglers. They're 3 points off the Champions League places at the moment, Vallecano. Getafe are one off the bottom, desperate for points down at the bottom. That could be a big goal, and that goal has been scored by Enes Ünal, the Turkish striker, and what has been a very poignant week for him, and with everything going on in Turkey for the former Manchester City player. He did play at Manchester City for 3 years, although he never made a first team appearance. Back to Ellen Road now. Big chance for Manchester United. Matthew Key.
Yes, one of the best openings of the game so far, certainly from Manchester United point of view. It was a chance out of nothing, really. Ball was loose. Rashford flicked it on, was fouled. Weston McKennie's picked up a booking, but good advantage played by Paul Tierney because the ball fell into the path of Bruno Fernandes. His shot was blocked by Rowan Koch at the back and was made much easier for Meslier in the Leeds United goal, though he did have to hop to one side to catch the ball. Bruno Fernandes wasn't happy. He felt there was a handball. Replay showed nothing doing there. Certainly wasn't a Souček against Chelsea yesterday. Yeah, another good chance for Manchester United. I would say they're looking the most likely at the minute, but 40 minutes gone. Still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0. Rashford had gone down, but he's back up, back on the pitch. 0-0.
It's 0-0 as well at the Galway Dome at half-time between Vitesse and Utrecht in the Netherlands in the Eredivisie. 6 minutes into the second half, Carlens Ukas of Vitesse is red-carded. Maybe that game does have its first goal around the corner. Still waiting for the first... we've had one goal, I should say, in the game between Bologna and Monza. Still waiting for a goal in the opening stages. Hertha Berlin against Monchengladbach. Let's catch up with those two matches, shall we? Let's first of all head to the Stadio Renato de Lara, and a big talking point just a few moments ago, Matteo Liguri.
Yeah, Orsolini, especially from of the Bologna players, was claiming for a penalty, since, in his opinion, Sensi took the ball with his hand in his own penalty box. The VAR reviewed it, and in my opinion, correctly, didn't give anything. It was just a dodgy touch, but it wasn't anything particularly bad. So there was no penalty, and the referee handled the situation well. Monza responded to that with a fierce counter-attack, a very nicely organised attacking phase, which led to Caprari having a great chance to shoot, but Skorupski responded greatly. It's been a battle of goalkeepers so far after the goal, but the result is still 1-0 to Monza.
And across in Germany, an early chance in the Olympia Stadium for Borussia Monchengladbach. Jordan Nicolai.
Yeah, it's been a lively start in this one, and there was a chance for Marcus Thuram. You may remember him in the World Cup. He got 2 assists. It was a corner kick from Hoffman. It's just over the bar. It's been a lively start at the Olympia Stadion Berlin. For Berlin, 0, Borussia Monchengladbach 0.
Thank you very much for that, Jordan. Seems to have lost him there in that game at the Olympia Stadion. We're across to him. Hopefully he can fix that microphone problem, and we can catch up with him in just a few moments' time. So still Bologna 0, Monza 1, and Hertha Berlin 0. Borussia Monchengladbach 0, and half-time fast approaching. Let's head to Ellen Road again. Josh Bailey. And, it's still waiting for that first goal, aren't we? And we had that chance just a few moments ago for Manchester United. First goal's going to be critical, isn't it?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if first goal kind of decides this game. And that sounds like a bit of a rogue shout, with the fact that Leeds United were 2-0 up and the game wasn't done at Old Trafford because it came back to 2-2. But the way this game has been, how cagey this game has been, it feels like one goal will just decide it. Or hopefully one goal will spark this team into life, spark the crowd into life, spark players into life, and we'll see a goal fest here at Ellen Road. But right now, it's just proceedings, really. Both teams going through the motions, not really trying too hard. I mean, really, Manchester United, maybe they're happy with a point at Ellen Road. And for Leeds as well, maybe they're going to be happy with a point too, considering both the team situations.
Matthew Key alongside Josh at the game there. A little bit of a scramble. Leeds United coming close.
Yes, scramble is certainly the word, Barry. Sunday League-esque. It was Somerville, again, who had that great chance earlier, you remember. He went down the right-hand side, some really nice work, looking for someone in the middle. There wasn't anyone there, so tries to take it on. Saved by De Gea initially, but the ball hit Maguire, went back in towards the Man United goal. There was about 4 or 5 players converging on it. Bamford there, Somerville there, Maguire, De Gea also involved, and United did eventually manage to scramble it clear, but just before half-time, got 1 minute. That's really livened the Ellen Road crowd up once again. Leeds also appealed for a penalty for a push, was never ever going to be given. But yes, hopefully more of that last couple of minutes, that Bruno Fernandes chance, that one for Somerville. Hopefully signs of more to come. But 1 minute before half-time, see how many there are for stoppages in a sec. But still, Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Football Live is back next Saturday afternoon, and it's such a big afternoon. We are going to extend Football Live to 4 hours. That's right. We will be on air from 3:45 in the afternoon with Josh Bailey. 5 matches taking place in the mid-afternoon kickoffs, including Chelsea against Southampton and Nottingham Forest against Manchester City. There's also a London derby, Brentford against Crystal Palace, a big game at the bottom, Everton against Leeds, and Wolves against Bournemouth is also a match where both sides are keen for victory to climb up the table. We stay on air for the late kickoff. What a game this is. Newcastle United against Liverpool from St James's Park. That's all coming up in an extended show next Saturday afternoon with Josh Bailey from 3:45 in the afternoon. It's Football Live on Brilla FM. Sounds pretty exciting, doesn't it, next weekend? Still a little way to go in the games taking place this weekend. And let's go back to Matthew Key at Ellen Road, because it's starting to hot up. 3 minutes of added time, by the way. We've played a minute of those, and there's been a couple of really good chances, hasn't there, Matthew?
Yes, just seen the best chance of the game so far and the best save made by either keeper. It was Meslier at Leeds that made the save, and once again it was Bruno Fernandes who he's thwarted Man United just with a corner now. But it was an awful mistake by Wobber at the back. There was a free kick for Leeds, should have just been easy, but he could only play it to a really alert Bruno Fernandes, who ran through on goal, 1-on-1. There was no Leeds defender anywhere near him. They were all trying best to scramble back, couldn't get there. Fernandes, really good effort on his right foot, kept it low and hard towards the corner, but Meslier, to his credit, made a really good save with his feet, out for a corner, as I say, which is about to be taken. But yeah, just about a minute left in this first half now. That's been the best chance so far. And it might just be that this game goes to half-time just as it's starting to liven up, but we'll have to see if it continues in the second half. Still, Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
That ball was whipped across there, and Luke Ayling inadvertently diverted it back towards his own goal, and it whistled past the post and out for a corner. Really big chance that for Manchester United as well, with Bruno Fernandes, and about 30 seconds to go in the first half. We'll be back for a quick roundup at half time from Matthew and Josh in just a few moments at time. Angers 1, Auxerre 1, the battle of the bottom 2 in France is half time. Rennes have taken the lead right on half time through Mazian Melida with a goal on 44 minutes against struggling Troyes, who are currently in the relegation zone. Plenty of goals in the Women's Super League. It's half-time now. What about this for a scoreline? Brighton and Hove Albion women 1, Aston Villa women 5. Jordan Nobbs with the 5th goal in that game at the Broadview Stadium. So that's where it is at half-time, and that's exactly where we're at the game that we are covering exclusively here on Football Live this afternoon on Brilla FM. Leeds United against Manchester United. It's goalless at half-time, and let's catch up with a quick summary of the first 45 minutes with Matthew Key.
Yes, thank you, Barry. No goals here at Ellen Road, but luckily no shortage of action. First half has been sort of tell us 2 halves really. First half of it was a bit cagey. Both teams trying to, as you say, in a boxing match, trying to work each other out, throwing a few jabs occasionally. But the second half, much more entertaining, much more of what we saw on Wednesday between these these two teams. Chances at both ends. Somerville and Fernandez having the best for their side. Somerville went close early on, hitting over the bar, and then about 10 minutes before the end, going through, forcing a save out of De Gea, and said at the time, goalmouth scramble, which United managed to clear. For Fernandez at the other end, he's had chances which have kept getting better and better. The first one, a shot from outside the box that hit wide. Second one, another shot from outside the box, slightly more central this time, forced to save out of Meslier. And then finally, right before the break, going through on goal, just into the box. Shot with his right foot, saved by Meslier really well. So at the break at Ellen Road, it's Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Excellent. Thank you very much to Matthew Key and Josh Bailey for some excellent first half coverage. Sadly, they have been unable to find us a goal so far, but we had a goal in the game in Italy, and guess what? We've got ourselves a goal in the game in the Bundesliga, and it's gone to Borussia Monchengladbach, struggling Hertha Berlin. Well, we heard them in a feature game a couple of weeks ago lose the derby against Union Berlin. They're behind again on home soil again this afternoon. It's Hertha Berlin, not getting the muddle up. Hertha Berlin 0. Borussia Monchengladbach 1. We'll be across to hear about that goal from Jordan Akolai very, very shortly. So 0-0 in the game at half-time between Leeds United and Manchester United, and in the game that we're covering in Bologna. Bologna are 1-0 down at home against Monza, and we'll be across to Matteo Liguri for updates throughout the afternoon here on Brilla FM.
You are listening to Football Live on Brilla FM.
Well, it's time now to hand back to our team in Nigeria. Tony is in the studio. Hand back question for you, actually, Tony. Marcus Rashford has one senior career hat-trick in 2020 against RB Leipzig. I'll tell you what the score was. It was 5-0 in the Champions League. But what was unique about that hat-trick? I wonder if you could tell us. Anyway, I'm sure you're going to set me a really teasing question, and we'll be back very shortly here on Football Live. But for now, over to you, Tony.
You are listening to Football Live on Brilla FM with Barry Swain.
Yes, welcome back. Apologies for that pause there. Well, we heard just before we went over to Tony of a goal in our game featuring in the Bundesliga, Hertha Berlin against Borussia Monchengladbach. Let's cross over to Olympia Stadion and Jordan Akolai. Tell us what about that goal.
This is not the start Hertha Berlin would have wanted. They go a goal down. It's a corner kick from Nets, the left back. He whips in a great ball, and Elvedi heads it into the far corner and beats the Christensen. Great start for Borussia Monchengladbach. They have really been winning the first and second balls, playing some neat football, and Hertha Berlin are missing their Nigerian top assister, Chidera Eduke, because they're really lacking creativity. So as things stand, Hertha Berlin 0, Borussia Monchengladbach 1.
Thank you very much for that, Jordan. Handback question for Tony, by the way. Before we went to the break, I said that Marcus Rashford has scored one senior career hat-trick. It was back in 2020 against RB Leipzig of the Bundesliga, a 5-0 win at Old Trafford. What was unique about the hat-trick was that it was the fastest hat-trick by a United substitute, and it took him just 27 minutes to score that hat-trick after coming on as a substitute. Now, they say that there's goals out there that are worth $1 million. Well, there's a goal worth $1 million in the Dutch Eredivisie because 10-man Vitesse have taken the lead against FC Utrecht, and the goal scorer is called Million Manhoff after 63 minutes at the Gelre Dome. And that means that Vitesse are 1-0 up in that game, which is 13th against 7th, despite being down to 10 men. Manchester United have gone in at half-time away at Leeds United 0-0. They were all square on Wednesday. We'll be back across to both Matthew Key and Josh Bailey once the second half gets underway. It is half-time in the game in Italy. Let's head off there, shall we, and hear all about the first half and how it's unfolded. Monza had their noses in front last time we were with Matteo Liguri.
Yeah, Barry, it's been an exciting first half, to be fair. The first 10 minutes weren't great, but then the game got more spicy and stuff started to happen, and eventually Monza found their way to a goal. To be fair, Bologna had looked like the most dangerous team, but Monza have had that Bologna lacked in this first 45 minutes, which is a great attack action by one of their players. In fact, if Monza are leading, is mainly due to Andrea Petagna's wonderful run into his shot, which was then deflected by the goalkeeper and put in the back of the net by Giulio Donati. To be fair, both goalkeepers deserve a shout out. They'll be playing really well, and both teams are fighting fiercely for that fight for Europe. Who knows if they will manage to find a place in the Europa Conference League, but from what I'm seeing, they would both deserve a shot to it. So I think the best will win, and let's see who it is in the next 45 minutes. Bologna-Monza 0-1.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Matteo. And of course, we'll be back to you for all the action as it unfolds at the Stadio Renato Dallara in the second half. Right. Half-time, as we've mentioned, 0-0 between Leeds United and Manchester United. And we're looking forward to the second half, head-to-head between those two at Leeds in the Premier League. This is the 15th time that they have played in the Premier League at Ellen Road, and Leeds United have won four draws, 6 Manchester United wins. Manchester United have won 4 of the last 5 meetings in all competitions against Leeds United. They've only lost 1 of the last 10 against Leeds, and that's meetings that span way back to September 1997, because remember, Leeds United had that long spell in the Championship up until 2 or 3 years ago when they won promotion eventually through lockdown with Marcelo Bielsa. Manchester United won the last Premier League meeting 4-2 at Ellen Road in February of last year, with goals from players that are all featured today. In fact, Fred, Fernandes, Maguire on the score sheet as well, and Anthony Alanga, who's on the bench for Manchester United this afternoon. There has been another goal in our featured game in the Bundesliga. Because to Jordan Nicolai in just a moment to hear about an equaliser, a big goal for Hertha Berlin in that game. So it's 1-1 between Hertha Berlin and Borussia Monchengladbach. Hertha level. And as I say, we'll be across to Jordan in just a few moments' time. Full time in Spain, Getafe 1. Rayo Vallecano 1. Getafe missed a penalty, then they were reduced to 10 men, but they did get that equalising goal. 2 sets of players are coming out at Ellen Road ahead of the second half. Manchester United had to do it the hard way to collect a point on Wednesday evening in a 2-2 draw. They were 2-0 down. Managerless Leeds United have held them for another 45 minutes today. Incidentally, is this the record closest game being played together, i.e. 2 teams have to play each other twice in the league? Has there ever been 2 meetings between 2 sides so close together, I hear you say? Well, the record, this is the second closest, and it was very close to breaking the record by around about 24 hours, because the biggest, the shortest gap between 2 meetings between the same side in one season was back in January 2010. It was between Arsenal and Bolton. There was around about 4 days, as where it's 5 days in total, including the days of the matches. It's 5 days today. It was 4 days for that. They're ready to get underway in the second half at Leeds United. We'll be across to Matthew and Josh in just a second, but let's cross to Jordan Nicolai, shall we, and hear about that Hertha Berlin equaliser against Borussia Monchengladbach. Jordan.
And yes, it's a goal for Hertha Berlin. The fans will be happy with this one. Gankman scores the goal. He didn't start in the last match, but the manager chose to start him today, and he repays the manager's faith in him with a goal. It came against the run of play. It was great play on the wing from Richardson, and he played in on Gankman, who tapped it in perfectly. And Hertha Berlin are back into this game against the run of play. But who knows, maybe they can build on this. Hertha Berlin 1, Borussia Monchengladbach 1.
Thank you very much, Jordan Nicolai. So they're back level. Heerenveen have scored a goal in the game against Feyenoord, pulling one back. Got about 15 minutes or so to go in that game in the Eredivisie up in the north of the Netherlands. Heerenveen 1, Feyenoord the leaders 2. And Heerenveen have won 2 of the last 3 meetings against Feyenoord at home. So it's not a happy hunting ground for the league leaders Feyenoord, but they're holding on against a Heerenveen side that are themselves pushing for a place in Europe next season. Heerenveen 1, Feyenoord 2. Liverpool 0, Leicester City 1 is a half-time in the WSL here in England. In the WSL between 2 sides in the bottom half. At Leicester are bottom, but if they can win that one, with Brighton losing heavily at home today, there's every chance that they might just stay up, the Foxes, after all. Let's head back, shall we, to Ellen Road. Early stages of the second half. Matthew Keats still 0-0. Leeds United have started very brightly.
Yes, I mentioned that the first half ended very well, and hopefully we wouldn't lose any momentum in the second half, and it doesn't look like we have. Leeds United starting very well, as you just said, and just had an early shot and forced a good save out of David De Gea. It was that man again, Somerville, who drove at the Man United defence, aimed at the near post. De Gea did well to tip the ball around the post. Leeds United corner here. You gave some stats at our half time. I'll give one to encourage all our Football Live listeners to keep listening. Since Leeds United returned to the Premier League in 2020, there's been a whopping 24 goals in the 5 Premier League games between these two sides, which is more than in any other fixture in that time. So don't tune off yet, Football Live listeners. Hopefully we'll have some goals in the second half, and it certainly started brightly. 2 minutes gone in the second half now. Still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Sob van Utel is the goal scorer for Heerenveen in the Eredivisie against the leaders Feyenoord, who still lead by 2-1. Right, okay. Don't forget, we're on Twitter at BrillaFM889 and on Facebook at 889BrillaFM for all the latest football news. Make sure you visit www.brilla.net and click on latest news for all the latest news. Let's head back to Matthew Key at Ellen Road, because Leeds United have had a couple of really good early opportunities in this second half, haven't they?
Yes, that's right, Barry. Another really good move from Leeds United and another really good chance. It was Jack Harrison this time. Some good play down the right-hand side for the home team. And the ball was put in along the floor by that man again, Somerville, into Jack Harrison. He tried a really clever flick at David De Gea's goal, trying to catch the Man United keeper off his guard, but just went wide. The Leeds fans really liking what they're seeing from their team early on, and Man United just got a bit of a storm to weather here. Leeds look like they're going to be pushing for a goal early in the second half to break the deadlock. Still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Matthew and Josh watching that one. We'll be across as soon as the action unfolds, and it won't be very long before we're back, I'm sure, to that one. 6 goals in the first half in the game in the WSL. Brighton 1, Villa 5. It's now Brighton 2, Villa 5, with a goal 4 minutes after half-time through Daniela Carter. The Seagulls going to get back into that one. It's now 5-2. Sounds like a really good game, that one in the WSL. Of course, our games have not been quite so action-packed in terms of goals. 0-0 between Leeds United and Manchester United, Hertha Berlin and Borussia Monchengladbach. Well, half-time is fast approaching there, and it's 1-1. And Bologna and Monza are just getting underway in the second half, with Bologna trailing to Monza by 1-0. 5 minutes into the second half in that game. Right, let's turn our attentions now to the game tomorrow night, shall we? Because there's a big game, and it's in the Premier League, and it's the Merseyside derby, which is always eagerly anticipated. And Jurgen Klopp knows all about what Everton can do, posing a problem down at the bottom they are at the moment. But with Sean Dyche coming in, they beat Arsenal, and he knows only too well, Jurgen Klopp, that Arsenal, having been beaten by Everton now pose a real threat tomorrow night at Anfield.
What would you be preparing for Monday night?
A very compact side, very good in counter-attacking, really, and set pieces will be very dangerous for us and very important subject, definitely. So yeah, that's a team. It's you could see that in the last game. It was good. It was a good game. So we had a lot of the game in their moments. Of course, Arsenal was dominant, but that's clear. But in the end, Everton had really good chances before they scored already, and the goal came from set piece, and that's how they scored in the end. But they could have scored in other moments as well. So we prepared for the team we saw against Arsenal.
Well, that was Jurgen Klopp. We will hear from Sean Dyche a little bit later in the show ahead of the Merseyside derby tomorrow, Liverpool against Everton. Let's quickly cross to Bologna against Monza, and a big chance for Bologna to equalise. Matteo Liguri.
A big chance it is. Bologna are pushing for the equaliser. They had a wonderful run down the right-hand side, and it was a beautiful low-driven crossing, a beautiful ball, but no striker could get the edge of it. The closest one was Ferguson, but he found Marlon on his way, and the referee awarded a free kick to Monza, even though now Bologna are attacking, and Kyriakopoulos, the Greek new signing from Sassuolo, just earned a dangerous free kick where a ball could be crossed into the middle for some trouble. Monza have looked a bit on their feet in this next second half, so we could see something happening, especially with Bologna's attackers on the bench, with the likes of Musa Barrow and Marko Arnautovic sitting there and getting ready for action. But so far, Monza still lead 1-0.
Thank you very much, Matteo. Back to Ellen Road. Matthew Key, big chance for Leeds United. And that Manchester United goal is leading a charmed life, isn't it?
Yes, Barry, that's right. 4 shots already for Leeds in this second half. That is more goal-worth action than we saw in the whole of the first. And it was another chance for the home team. And it was Luke Ayling. A free kick was whipped in, initially cleared out, headed away, but the ball fell to Ayling. He hit it on the volley. Not the sweetest of strikes, but it was certainly heading on target and potentially heading in. But a block from Luke Shaw hit his leg, went out for a corner just wide. It had De Gea scrambling. He wasn't quite sure where it was going. Corner led to nothing in the end, was well dealt with by Man United. But as you say, that Man United living dangerously at the minute, the home side all over them. Currently, we'll see if they can get that elusive goal to break the deadlock. Almost 10 minutes gone now in the second half. It's still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Well, yesterday on Football Live, we spoke about Florent Balogun, the Arsenal striker who is currently on loan at Reims in the French League One. He could yet choose to play for Nigeria, the 21-year-old, and he's just gone and fired his 15th goal of the season in just 27 appearances on loan in France. Only Harry Kane, Erling Haaland and Victor Osimhen have scored more goals in the European top 5 leagues this season. His parents are Nigerian. He was born in the United States of America, raised in England. As I say, he could yet choose England. He could yet choose the USA. He could choose Nigeria. Nigerians out there, I'm sure, will be praying that he does choose Nigeria. Well, he's gone and scored again this afternoon. It's now Reims 3, Troyes, the Strugglers 0. It's a really, really good season for him. And the big question on the show yesterday was, what will Arsenal do with him when they take him back at the end of this loan? Will they sell him? Will they loan him out to someone a little bit bigger, maybe? That is the big question. Let's head back to Ellen Road, shall we? Let's catch up with Josh Bailey. Josh, you've been watching Leeds United in this second half. They've come out all guns blazing and they're causing United no end of problems, aren't they?
I mean, it's been a phenomenal start to this second half. The energy that Leeds United are playing with, the kind of the anger that they're playing with, they really are pounding that goal. They're trying to find a way through, and it's miraculous that they haven't found a way through yet. I mean, scoring goals has been Leeds United's kryptonite all season, so maybe it's not really that much of a surprise that they haven't found a way through yet. But Manchester United, they're holding on, kind of just holding on for dear life. Their fingers are slowly slipping away, and will Leeds find the goal, and will they find the back of the net? Well, only time will tell, but they're getting very, very close.
Excellent. Thanks very much for that, Josh. Montpellier have scored through Sepeli Wahi 9 minutes into the second half, and that big 6-pointer at the bottom looks like it's going to be won by Montpellier. Now 3-0 down, 3-0 up rather, against Brèche in the French League 1. Right, Manchester United, 10 minutes into the second half, still being held 0-0 by Leeds United. In fact, I think it's fair to say that Leeds United will be slightly aggrieved that they haven't gone ahead in that game at Ellen Road. We'll be back to Matthew and Josh in just a few moments' time. Quick reminder that there's plenty of action coming up in the NPFL today. 6 matches later on today. In Group A, Warriors, who've just got 1 win so far, currently in the bottom 2, take on Akawa United. Gumba United against Enyimba. Enyimba currently 3rd. Shooting Stars against Bendel Insurance. Bendel Insurance having a great season. 4 points clear with 5 wins and 1 draw for them. Opening 6 matches. They're unbeaten. That game is at the Adama Singbat Stadium in Abadan later on. It kicks off around about the end of this show. Remo Stars in 2nd, but they've lost 2 of their last 3, take on Plateau United. In Group B, Sunshine in 5th, take on Tornadoes. And Lobby Stars, top of Group B, at the JOS International Stadium, take on Dakar. Rivers United in Brazzaville in the Congo Republic later on this afternoon for the African Confederation Cup Group B opener against Disables Noirs. And it's a 5 o'clock kickoff West African time. This is the opening match in that competition. So that's where we're at the moment. Let's head back to Ellen Road. Looks like Patrick Bamford's afternoon is over, Matthew Key. Manchester United have stemmed the flow of the early torrent of pressure from Leeds United in the second half, but it does look like Patrick Bamford's afternoon is over. Change for Leeds United.
Yes, that's correct, Barry. It is Bamford, the man that's making way. He's not really had a big impact on the game. A couple of nice touches, but that is it. He's been replaced by the record signing Ruta off the bench. He's made a few cameos for Leeds, not yet started. This could be his real chance to make himself a fan favourite with the Ellen Road faithful if he can grab a goal here. It's a corner for Leeds at the minute, just under an hour gone. Still Leeds United 0, Man United 0.
Thank you very much, Matthew Key. Let's head back into Italy. They're huffing and puffing. They're trying to find an equaliser, Bologna, but they're still trailing Matteo Liguri.
Yeah, Bologna have been trying to do something in the attacking phase, but they are facing a very defensively organised Monza. So it's like trying to break down a wall, but Bologna still haven't got the attacking force to do it. So the result is still 1-0 to Monza.
And whilst you're with us, Matteo, we've touched base on Victor Osimhen and his involvement in the top against bottom battle later on. Ademola Lookman didn't find the back of the net yesterday, but he had an assist in the game yesterday for Atalanta away at Lazio. He's in great form, isn't he?
Yeah, he's actually amazing. Nobody in Italy expected him to have such an impact on the league, but he's proven to be one of the best players this year in Serie A, and he's one of the reasons why Atalanta are so far up in the standings. Ademola Lookman is great. He's got great speed, great dribbling, but I think he's improved in intensity and especially in his capability to convert the chances he had. So that's what Gasperini really worked on and got his results, which are paying nicely, especially considering his partnership with Rasmus Åhlund, the very, very young Norwegian striker Atalanta got the last summer, and the two of them are combining nicely. And creating a threatening attacking force. I think Hertha Berlin might move back to the Premier League for a big money signing in the next few seasons.
Excellent. Thank you, Matteo. Half-time whistle has gone in our featured game in the Bundesliga. It's all square at half-time. Let's catch up with Jordan Nicolai to bring you bang up to date with the game in the Olympia Stadion.
Yes, it's half-time and it's 1-1. It's been an exciting match in Berlin. Hertha Berlin was slow to warm up into this game. Borussia Monchengladbach had the fastest start to the game. They were increasing the tempo as the minutes were going on, and it was only a matter of time till they scored. The goal came in from a header, corner kick from Netz, and Elvedi headed it into the far corner. But Hertha Berlin since then have looked bright, and they've responded with a goal of their own from Ngankman. And now it looks like the momentum is more on Hertha Berlin's side. It's a must-win game for them, and they are looking sharper as we approach second half time. Hertha Berlin 0, Borussia Monchengladbach. Hertha Berlin 1, Borussia Monchengladbach 1.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Jordan. Jordan's off to have a nice cup of tea at half time, and then he'll be back for the Olympia Stadium second half. Bari are ahead against Crescenza in the second flight in Italy, thanks to a goal from Sebastiano Esposito after just 3 minutes. They've not wasted any time in getting ahead. Let's quickly hear of a great chance from Monza with a shot from the halfway line, I believe. Matteo Liguri.
Yeah, a moment of wonderful craziness from Monza striker Gianluca Caprari. It was, I think, Abisha lost a stupid ball in the around the halfway line, and Gianluca Caprari didn't think twice before unleashing wonderful shots. It went just over the bar in this game from over the line. To be fair, this shows how Monza's attacking creativity has given them an edge so far in this first 60 minutes, but Bologna have got upstairs on the bench and might turn this game around. So far, still 1-0 to Monza.
Back to Ellen Road. There's been some changes for Manchester United, who have been second best in this second half. Matthew Key.
Yes, obviously Erik ten Hag run the changes with that game against Leeds just the other day, and a big game against Barcelona coming up, but he's seen enough from his side, and it's two of the players that have been brought in that have gone off. It was Malacia at left back. He's been replaced by Lisandro Martinez to give a bit more insurance at the back. Malacia was really struggling against the dangerous Somerville anytime he got on the ball. So Luke Shaw's gone back to his more familiar left back position. The other change, Jadon Sancho, the man who returned, quiet afternoon for him. He's gone off, and the young, exciting Argentinian Alejandro Garnacho has come on. He's made some big impacts off the bench already this season. Erik ten Hag and Man United fans will be hoping he can do the same again. Just over the hour mark now, and it's still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Thank you very much for that, Matthew. Despite being down to 10 men and 0-0, Vitesse have gone and scored 2 goals whilst being a man down, and they are deep into stoppage time now. Vitesse 2, Utrecht 0 in the Eredivisie, thanks to the Sierra Leone-born teenager Mohamed Sanko, who scored deep into stoppage time to make it 2-0 in that game. He is currently there on loan from VfB Stuttgart in the Bundesliga in Germany, of course. Let's head back to the game at Ellen Road, shall we? Let's hear from Josh Bailey. Josh, United have rung those changes, and they need a reaction, don't they? Because the first 15, 16 minutes of the second half, it's just not been good enough for United, has it?
They're smart changes by Erik ten Hag. Defensively, they've been looking a little bit shaky, even though it is still 0-0. So bringing on Martinez there at the back is a smart move to make. For Malacia, as Matthew said, who has been struggling in this game, and then to bring Garnacho on, if you've got someone like that on the bench, it's just something, his speed, his creativity, just his ability to move in space and find space. That's what makes him stand out as a player, and that is perfect for a game where you're 0-0 and you need a bit more of a spark up front. So I'm expecting him to have a big impact in the last half an hour in this game.
And Matthew Key, as a result of those changes, Manchester United have had their best chance of the game so far, and it's come back off the crossbar, hasn't it?
Yes, it's come back off the crossbar, which I think is still rattling after that one, Barry. It was a really nice move from Man United. It started with Luke Shaw winning the ball back. Now he's at that left back position, finding Garnacho, who was patient, found Fred, who laid the ball off to Dalot from right back. What a strike it was. He had a touch. No one really closed him down, so he decided he was going to hit it. Lovely shape on the shot, right-footed, was curling into the goal. Meslier saw it late. He just stood there and watched as the ball cannoned off the bar. Really great strike, really unlucky from a Manchester United point of view. And Leeds, for all their dominance in the first 20 minutes of this second half, that's shaking them up a bit. That's quieting the crowd down once again. Man United just with a reminder of the quality that they possess. So unlucky from Dalot with that one. I say the crossbar still shaking. 20 minutes gone in this second half, so 65 minutes gone now. Still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
And in the second half, 4 shots from Leeds United, 1 on target, 2 shots from Manchester United, nothing on target because they hit the bar just now. 6 touches from Leeds United in the opposition box, just 2 from Manchester United. It's starting to open up. It's starting to look very entertaining and promising as Leeds United mount another attack. We'll be across to both Matthew and Josh for an update from Ellen Road in just a few moments' time. It's beginning to look a pretty tasty affair after a rather low-key first half. But still, it's Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0. A point probably more useful to Leeds United than Manchester United as the action unfolds. We're in the 66th minute of that game and it remains 0-0. And we'll be right across to Ellen Road in just a few moments' time. Talking of Manchester United, a former Manchester United player has been substituted on in our featured game in Italy, Bologna against Monza. Here's Matteo Liguri.
Yeah, Marko Arnautovic is back in Serie A after an injury. And before he got injured, he was one of the best strikers in Serie A. I actually shared the Capocannoniere title with Osimhen, so he's going to be an interesting addition to this Bologna side, together with African winger Musa Barrow. Let's see if these two are enough to turn the game around. So far, 65 minutes gone, and Monza still lead 1-0.
Back to Ellen Road. Matthew Key, chance for Leeds United.
Yes, just as United start to get a foothold in the game, it's Leeds that come right back and have a chance of their own. It was Willy Gnonto, someone who I've not seen too much of today. He was obviously so dangerous at Old Trafford, getting that really early goal. But it's been Somerville causing most of the problems. But a glimpse of what Gnonto can do. He picks the ball up on the left-hand side, drives inside, cuts inside, takes on 2 Man United defenders, and unleashes a shot which is curling towards the goal, but De Gea didn't have to move, catches it comfortably, is able to release it. But again, the Ellen Road crowd, they like that. They like what they're seeing from the young Italian. Such a promising young player he looks, and Leeds will be looking to get him involved in the game more because we know the quality he possesses. Still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Feyenoord are back on top of the Eredivisie after a 2-1 victory away at Heerenveen. They were made to sweat were Arne Slot's side earlier on. The final whistle went about 10 minutes ago and they have won that. They're back at the top, knocking AZ Alkmaar off the top. PSV third, Ajax fourth, but there is only 6 points separating that top 4. Heerenveen, who lost at home to Feyenoord this afternoon, remain down in 8th, 6 points shy of the European qualification places. So let's bring you bang up to date with where we're at so far this afternoon on Football Live here on Brilla FM. Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0, but there's certainly been plenty of chances and it's been a good, open and entertaining second half at Ellen Road. We'll be back with Matthew Key and Josh Bailey in just a moment. Hertha Berlin 1, Borussia Monchengladbach 1. That's a half time with Jordan Akolai at the Olympia Stadion in our featured game in the Bundesliga. And as we just heard, Bologna still chasing against Monza, but trailing by 1-0 in the Italian Serie A. Matteo Liguri is watching that one for us. Brighton and Hove Albion women are now 6-2 down. Another goal for Jordan Nobbs for Aston Villa. Looks like they're going to take all 3 points, Villa, in that game. Leeds United have a corner at the moment. It's their turn to apply some pressure on the Manchester United goal. Let's cross to Josh Bailey. And Josh, one player that we've seen come into the Manchester United squad is Marcel Sabitzer. What have you made of the Austrian midfielder and his performance from the man on loan from Bayern Munich so far this afternoon? Because he's been thrown in somewhat in the deep end because of suspension and injury.
Yeah, he's been okay. I mean, I wouldn't say that really he's made that much of an impact on the game. I think, you could work both ways. He hasn't done anything wrong, which is good. He hasn't made any glaring mistakes, but at the same time, he maybe hasn't had that huge impact that they would have liked. But as you said, he's been thrown into the deep end, and there's no bigger game than Ellen Road away at Leeds at Ellen Road. So it's been a huge game for him today, and I think he's been okay. He's been okay. He's still got 20 minutes though to try and create something and try and show that little bit of quality that we've become so used to seeing, especially in his Leipzig days.
And alongside you there, Matthew Key, we can't beat in football an overhead kick attempt by a fullback, can you? Luke Ayling just tried his luck with the acrobatics.
Yeah, he did, Barry, and I'll tell you what, it was not a bad effort at all. I've seen plenty worse. It was the corner that you mentioned, Leeds for once getting the delivery right, and it was Rutter at the front post who flicked it on. It's sort of travelled to the far post, and Luke Ayling could have headed it, could have taken it down potentially, but he decides that he's going to go for the spectacular, as it were, and gets a good connection on it. And I'll tell you what, either side of De Gea, it could have caused a real problem for the United goalkeeper. And if anything, you'd say he's almost caught it too well, because it's clean, it was straight at De Gea, and the United keeper was able to save it. But Luke Ayling has actually had a fantastic game, I think. Obviously, been at Leeds for so long now, loves the club, and his passion has been there for everyone to see. And it's almost like he's one of the fans at Ellen Road, the amount of passion that he shows, and the Ellen Road faithful absolutely love him. 20 minutes to go here, and as I say, the game still seems to be getting better and better. Hopefully we're going to have a goal at some point. Keep listening, Football Live listeners. It's still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
We're working hard between the three of us, Matthew, Josh and myself, to try and bring you a goal in our featured game this afternoon. But it is, after 71 and a half minutes, Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0. Let's turn our attentions to the Merseyside derby, which takes place at Anfield tomorrow night. We heard earlier on from Jurgen Klopp. Now let's turn to Everton and their new manager, Sean Dyche. Played 1, won 1. What are the chances of played 2, won 2? Well, he knows only too well what it's like taking a team to Anfield. Here's Sean Dyche.
Derby game, big game, obviously, no experience for me, but I think we're in, well, certainly on that performance, it's like I said, everyone's on what we're doing, the detail, the appreciation of each other is good, but it's a derby game, so, we know that it's the form somewhat goes out the window. I think we all, it's the old adage, but, the feel of the game can sometimes affect the game. We're really looking for a performance again, against Arsenal. I said last weekend it was fantastic to get a win, but I was really looking for a reaction, a reaction and a performance, and I think we're still laying that down. Can we give another performance on the back of a good one last week?
Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, Football Live is on Brilla FM, bringing you all the exclusive team news.
Everton Super Eagle Alex Iwobi still out injured.
The reaction of the players and, of course, the managers.
Well, James Maddison's doing very well, so we're hoping that he can be involved in the squad at the weekend.
The action as it unfolds throughout the afternoon.
Pressure from Brighton just told in the end. They've been absolutely fantastic, responded brilliantly to going behind.
And of course, don't forget the goals.
What can you tell us about the Brighton goal that has put them 1-0 up at the King Power?
I can tell you, Josh, that is an absolute screamer from Kaoru Mitoma.
Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, Football Live brings you all of the action as it unfolds, right here exclusively on Brilla FM. Straight back to Ellen Road and Matthew Key, who can tell us about a couple of substitutions, one for either side, I understand, Matthew.
Yes, that's correct. Change for either side, not there. They're both making their third changes of the afternoon, and you'd have to say it's an attacking one for Leeds and a slightly more defensive one for Manchester United. For the away side, the Red Devils, it's Wan-Bissaka on for Diego Dalot. So obviously a like-for-like swap at right back, but as we know, Wan-Bissaka's qualities lie more in the defensive point of view rather than Dalot, who had that great chance, that shot hitting the bar a few moments ago. And for Leeds, it's Jack Harrison, who's worked really hard, not had too many clear-cut chances of his own, but worked really hard for his team, got a big ovation from the Ellen Road crowd. He's gone off, and it's Brendan Aronson, one of Jesse March's American recruits, that is on. He was signed for big money in the summer. Once again, someone that the Leeds fans would love to see pop up with a crucial goal here, and it could well be a winning goal at this stage of the game because there's 15 minutes left, and it might just be one goal that makes all the difference. Still, Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Absolutely right, Matthew. It does look like if there is to be a goal, it will probably be the winning goal in that game. Let's just turn our attentions to injuries, shall we? Rodrigo Bentenko was taken off injured early on yesterday for Tottenham Hotspur, 4-1 defeat for them at Leicester City. And unofficial reports are saying that Bentenko is unlikely to play this season. 6 months on the sidelines. Well, that would suggest that he's going to struggle to be fit for the start of next season. So that's a big blow if there's any truth in that story. But Rodrigo Bentenko off injured yesterday for Tottenham Hotspur, looking like he's going to be out for a lengthy spell. And of course, Bissouma has a fractured leg, and that requires surgery. And Spurs have said this week that they can't put a time frame on his injury until the operation has been done and dusted and settled down a few days later. So still not sure how long it's going to be before he is back in action. So that's a real blow for Tottenham Hotspur. Meantime, another team in London, Queen's Park Rangers of the Championship, look like they're going to be without their Nigerian international defender Leon Balogun for a few more weeks. He's been out since before the World Cup through injury. No definitive date. Seems like he's had a setback. He's doubtful now for the AFCON qualifier against Guinea-Bissau in the 2 legs next month. So that's a bit of a blow for the Super Eagles in that fixture next month, which we'll all be looking forward to. Heading back to Elland Road, Josh Bailey, still 0-0. If you had to call it, who's going to win it?
Oh, Barry, that's such a tough question. I think you're going to have to go Leeds, and that might be saying something because it's Manchester United with all the quality they have. However, Leeds have been comfortably the better team in this second half. They played some really nice stuff, and the only thing they have missed is a goal. So with 15 minutes left, if I had to put money somewhere, it's going with Leeds because they have been phenomenal in this second half.
You could have put your money on a 0-0 if you wanted, but you're going for Leeds.
I've got to have goals. I've got to promise goals. Got to have goals. Can't be 0-0.
We're working hard. And one thing I will say, Josh, is that the second half has been much, much better than the first half.
Yeah, the second half has been much better quality. And in that first half, it did seem like both teams were trying just to get through those first 45 minutes as comfortable as possible, especially Manchester United, because what they don't want is to go 1-0 down at Elland Road, because that's a long way back. So I felt like in the first half that was very much maybe the game plan, and the second half it's then where Leeds, now let's get through that first half, second half, let's go for it, let's try and really take the game to Manchester United, and they have done that successfully. It's just the goals that have been lacking for Leeds, and that is something that we have been saying all season with this Leeds United team.
And Matthew Key, Somerville at it again, into the box, really big chance.
Yes, well, he's come into the team today, Barry, and he's done everything except get on the score sheet. Really nice alert play from the winger this time. Ball just sort of calmly fed its way into the United box, and Somerville was the only one that was alert to the situation. He ran onto it. First time, head down, good shot, but a bit of a tight angle, and De Gea was able to save with his feet. Almost his trademark, isn't it, David De Gea? Those brilliant saves he makes with his feet. Got the ball out and away from danger. But yeah, 10 minutes to go now. well, just slightly over 10 minutes to go now. Still 0-0, but as Josh has just said, Leeds looking the more likely of the two teams to nick it late on. Leeds United 0, Manchester United 0.
Manchester United go to Barcelona in the first leg of the playoff, Europa League playoff, this coming Thursday in the Nou Camp. Then they entertain Leicester before the second leg against Barcelona at Old Trafford. Should be two great games. And it's really cup football that's taking over for Manchester United. 4 of their next 5 matches are cup matches. The Carabao Cup final and then a home game against West Ham in the FA Cup before a trip to Liverpool. And, well, you know what? Turning our attentions to Manchester United, I can tell you this. I said just a few minutes ago, myself, Matthew and Josh were looking to try and find you a goal from somewhere. And guess what? Manchester United have taken the lead. And there's a man on the score sheet who is often on the score sheet. Matthew Key, tell us all about the goal.
Yes, that's right, Barry. We've had a goal, and guess who? It's that man again, Marcus Rashford. His 12th of the season, and it's one with his head. He's barely been in the game at all, if truth be told, let alone in the box. But he gets one chance, and he's in such good form at the moment that he finds at the back of the net. It was a really well-worked goal. Man United kept the ball really well. Ball whipped in from the left-hand side by Garnacho, and there's Rashford, header in the corner. Meslier, no chance. Ellen Road silenced. Rashford ran over to those Manchester United fans. There is a VAR check though, so hold on. We might see yet another goal disallowed. Have to hope not from a Manchester United point of view. But yeah, we promised goals, Barry, and it looks like we finally got one. At the moment, it's Leeds United 0, Manchester United 1.
And I can tell you, Matthew, it has been given. They've been drawing all the wrong lines on VAR, and I watched that one very, very carefully. And they were drawing the lines on the near side defender. And from that line, Rashford was offside. His arm was in an offside position. But when you pan into the bigger scene, there's a Leeds United defender on the far side who is playing Rashford onside. And the goal is rightly given. And congratulations to VAR. You've got one right. Well done. You've drawn the right line. You've made the right decision. Please, can you do that more often? Because yesterday was a complete catastrophe. And if it's going to be like that, please get rid of VAR. And I am an advocate of VAR. But after yesterday, I'm not a big fan. So thankfully, VAR got that one absolutely right. Very good header that as well by Marcus Rashford. Wow, what a season he's having. He's only ever scored once before today against Leeds United. It's 2-4 against Leeds now. He's Manchester United's top scorer this season. 12 goals now in the Premier League, 21 goals in all competitions. It's the third season where he scored 20 plus goals. His best ever season was in the 2019-2020 season when he scored 22, and he's only one away from that. He's going to break that, isn't he? 23 goals for club and country this season when you count the World Cup and his goals for England. And to think he couldn't get in the England squad at the beginning of the season. 8 goals in his last 9 Premier League games. 12 goals in 14 appearances since the World Cup. It's some form. He is the in-form player at the moment. Let's cross over to Josh Bailey and talk about Marcus Rashford, because once again, out of nowhere, it's probably not been his best game today, but he's in the right place at the right time. He is such a form player, isn't he, Josh?
That is what the best players do. They find a way to win. They find a way to score goals even when they're not playing well themselves. And Leeds United have done a brilliant job marking him out the game today, a bit like what they did in the game on Wednesday. But once again, he has found the back of the net. And he has always been a form player, but maybe this time it's a little bit different. Maybe this time Marcus Rashford isn't just a form player. Maybe he's going to find a way how to extend this quality week in, week out, and become one of the best players in the world, which we know on his day, when he is in form, he is one of the best players in the world. It's just that consistency to his game that he has got to find, and he is finding it right now. And because of that, Man United are winning games and they're beating Leeds today.
And Matthew, alongside you there, going 1-0 up Manchester United, and you think, right, OK, game management, shut up shop. But since they've scored, it's been all United, hasn't it?
Yes, it's always interesting to see what a tactic teams adopt after going 1-0. We saw Arsenal yesterday, whether it was by their own doing, or you have to give credit to Brentford, but Brentford really came out as soon as Arsenal scored, got themselves an equaliser very quickly after Arsenal went 1-0 up. United, they've just carried on from where they've left off from the goal. They're the ones on the front foot. There's yet to be a response from Leeds United. United on the attack right now, but at the minute it's still Leeds United 0, Manchester United 1.
Leeds United will be outside the bottom three on goal difference unless they can come back in this game. But I don't think that comeback is likely now. Because Manchester United have added a second. It's 2 goals in the space of 4 minutes, just inside the last 10 minutes. And to tell us all about it, it's Matthew Key.
Yes, Barry, it's 2-0 for Man United, and that should be game over. And it's Alejandro Garnacho with the second for the Red Devils, and it's a lovely finish, you must say. He started the game at Old Trafford, didn't have his best game, got some really harsh criticism after that. Well, he has answered those critics in fantastic style. Man United nicked the ball off Leeds in midfield. It was Fred that won it. Man United on the attack, quick as a flash. Garnacho played in on the left-hand side. Right-footed finish, near post, off the post and in. Always looks better when it hits the post and in. And he runs off to those jubilant away fans. That should be 3 points for Man United, unless something absolutely extraordinary happens here. In just the space of a few minutes, this has gone from a really tight affair and potentially Leeds being the one to win it, to Man United making that trip back to Lancashire with all 3 points. It's Leeds United 0, Manchester United 2.
And I have to say, I don't think I've seen as big a smile on the face of Erik ten Hag as what he wore there. He was clenching his fists and celebrating like he's never celebrated before as the Manchester United manager, because that second goal is worth its weight in gold. And Alejandro Garnacho with a second goal for United. They lead at Leeds United by 2-0, and it looks like they'll be taking those 3 points back across the Pennines later on this evening. Now, yesterday, VAR did the leaders Arsenal very few favours, and it rather ruffled the feathers of the Arsenal manager, Mikel Arteta.
Mikel, it did look as though the Brentford goal was offside.
Yes, I just looked it back and it is offside, yeah.
Have the match officials explained the reason behind that decision?
I don't know, probably they will give an explanation later on in the week, but today we haven't got any. But looking at the images, and you have to apply certain principles in defending, and you do that by sticking to the rules. And suddenly you apply different rules, then you have to change your principles. So tell us before, because then you don't hide the line in that height, because then obviously you're always going to have an advantage if you get blocked.
Calm down, everyone. It's not at Ellen Road, but I can tell you there has been another goal in our featured game in the Bundesliga at the Olympia Stadium. Hertha Berlin are really fighting against relegation. So a big goal, but which way has it gone? Jordan Nicolai.
And it's gone to Hertha Berlin. What a way to score your first goal of the season. Dardai couldn't put this any more in the top corner. It was Tony Yeboah-esque, the way it hit off the crossbar, bounced and crossed the line. It was Cersei who passed it to Dardai, and out of nowhere, he released a lethal strike, and there was no stopping that one. It's been all Hertha Berlin in the second half. They know it's a must-win game, and they are now treating it as such. What a goal, Dardai, his first goal of the season, and Hertha Berlin are 2-1 up. Hertha Berlin 2, Borussia Monchengladbach 1.
And would you believe it? Martin Dardai is 21 years old today. What a way to celebrate your 21st birthday with your first ever goal in the Bundesliga. Wow. Hey, happy birthday, Martin Dardai. And if they can take 3 points, they might just sneak in a beer for him later on, I'm sure. Hey, well, that's a story, isn't it? We heard about a 33-year-old scoring on our featured game between Bologna and Monza. That remains the only goal in that game. The 33-year-old's first ever goal in the Bundesliga. And on his 21st birthday, Martin Dardai might just have won the game for Hertha Berlin. There's still a little bit of time to go in that game, of course, because they're half an hour behind us. Let's head back to Ellen Road, where the game has about 90 seconds plus injury time to run, and Manchester United, Matthew Key, are knocking on the door, aren't they?
Yes, Barry, it's been all Leeds the last few minutes, desperately trying to get some way back in the game, but they can't really force a good chance. And on the break, Manchester United spring into life. We know how dangerous they are on the counter, and all of a sudden it's a 3-on-1 with Tyler Adams desperately scrambling back with no help whatsoever. United this time can't make it count. It was Garnacho again who cut inside on his left foot, had a shot, but it was blocked. But yeah, looks like Man United are going to be heading with all 3 points. And if anyone's going to get the third goal, it's going to be them once again. Still, Leeds United 0, Manchester United 2.
Thank you very much, Matthew. From Matthew to Matteo Liguri in Italy. A penalty check, but Bologna are still behind against Monza.
Yeah, in the end, nothing was given. And it's actually the penalty was there to give for Monza, because apparently, according to Monza players, there was a handball in Bologna's penalty area, but yeah, there was nothing. No, the replay is showing that there was nothing to be given. And to be fair, Monza are the team who had the better chances in this final third of the second half, with a wonderful save by Skorupski to deny Ravella of a wonderful volley goal. But then on the corner, following that save, he had to produce an amazing miracle against one of the Bologna attackers. But I think you got news, Barry.
We have indeed got news, Matteo. Deep into stoppage time now, and well, United have got the ball in the back of the net. I don't think the goal's going to stand, actually, because VAR are having a look. Let's go back to Matthew Key. He might be able to throw a little bit more light on it. So Rashford looked like his second goal, but I think it's been chalked up by VAR. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct, Barry. Checks just over now, and instantly Rashford's just gone off. He's been replaced by Alanga. He thought he had a second, and Man United's third. That would have really rubbed salt in the wound of Leeds. It was a really nice move once again on the counter-attack. Bruno Fernandes slipped in Rashford. Once again, clinical in front of goal. Right-footed shot past Meslier, who had no chance. Given offside initially, looked really close. It was one of those that you mentioned earlier, Barry. There was lines being drawn, there was being zoomed in, out, like the hokey cokey. But eventually, they've come to the right decision, much closer than it first looked, to be fair. But once again, they've got that one right. Still, Man United 2, Leeds United 0. We've entered 4 minutes of stoppage time until the celebrations can truly begin for the Red Devils.
And alongside you there is Josh Bailey. Josh, from a Leeds perspective, they've done very well today, and they'll look back at missed chances. But you know, they've got work to do. They've got a managerial vacancy that needs filling. They need a little bit of consistency, but they need something to be put in place, or give the new caretaker manager a little bit more time. So there needs a little bit more transparency. It's a big week for them to get that right, so that they can head into a busy few weeks for them, and they go to Everton next Saturday, and that suddenly turns into an absolutely humongous match, doesn't it?
It's a 6-pointer, as we like to say in this league. I mean, that's it. Like it's absolutely massive. It's huge. You can't really describe how big that game is. For this game today, it's been the story of Leeds United season, creating chances, playing brilliantly, but not finding the back of the net, failing to convert goals into points, really, and they just cannot get those points. And next week they need to get those points, because you've got Everton in 18th with 18 points. Leeds United are only one place above them on 19 with a game in hand as well. So if a defeat there, Leeds United could be in real big trouble. So it's a huge, huge game. Will they have a manager at that point? Who knows? But going off the performance today, I think their assistant manager and their caretaker manager right now is doing a decent enough job.
The flag is up, Matthew Key, just as Manchester United thought they'd gone 3-0 up.
Yes, another one disallowed this time, Barry. Wow, we've really left the goals late here on Football Live this afternoon. Once again, this one definitely not going to count. Much more offside than the Rashford one a few minutes ago. It was Wout Weghorst who temporarily got his first Premier League goal for Manchester United. Clearly offside, but I have to say, Josh is absolutely right. Leeds United have been fantastic for most of this game, but that doesn't return any points for them, and that doesn't get you anywhere in the Premier League, unfortunately. It's a results business, as they say, and you'd have to say that as soon as Man United went 1-0 up, Leeds have completely fallen apart. They've been all over the place at the back, and a couple of offsides have come to their rescue and stopped it from getting rather embarrassing, if truth be told. We're literally moments away from the final whistle now, and it's Manchester United 2, Leeds United 0.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Yeah, the referee's glancing at his watch. We've played the 4 minutes of added time at the end of the 90, and it looks like United are going to see that one through. By the way, the Weghorst offside, they've just run it on VAR. For goodness me, they didn't need to draw any lines on that because he was a mile off. But there's a big smile on the face of the Manchester United manager, Erik ten Hag. He shakes hands with all his staff and all his unused subs and all the subs that have come off from starting the game. He is a happy man because his Manchester United team have picked up 3 points. And with Arsenal drawing yesterday, maybe, just maybe, they're back in the fringes of the title race. I'll leave that for you to decide. But let's go back, first of all, to Matthew Key. And Matthew, in the end, United ground out a result. But, you know, whilst they did look good towards the end, Leeds United will scratch their heads and wonder how they didn't contribute with at least a goal.
Yes, Erik ten Hag will be extremely satisfied with this one because United, while not playing as at their best, they have come away with all 3 points, and it's that old cliche, isn't it, that you know it's a good side when they win without playing particularly well. Leeds definitely played their part in this game, but as I say, it's a results business and they simply aren't picking up the results, and that is going to need to change. But it's Manchester United up to second in the table, albeit played a couple games more. Goals from Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho within the space of 5 minutes have given them victory here. It looked like we were heading for a draw. It looked like potentially Leeds were going to be the ones that nick it, but it's the Red Devils that go back to Lancashire with all 3 points, and that away end is absolutely bouncing. Let me tell you, I think they are in for a good night. A brilliant win for Manchester United. They've come on top ahead of their rivals Leeds. It's finished 2-0 to Manchester United at Ellen Road.
And Josh Bailey alongside you there. Josh, we've just seen the league table pop up on the screen here. United up to second, 5 points behind Arsenal. Arsenal got 2 games in hand. But I think it's fair to say they are still in this title race now, aren't they, Manchester United?
I think they are. The 2 games they have go in hand, go Manchester United's way. They are certainly in it. Man United fans, they can dream. And what is it? You know, they've got the EFL Cup. They get a bit of success. If they win that, and they get a bit of taste of success coming in a couple of weeks' time, who knows what they can achieve this season. Erik ten Hag is challenged for the league, time after time, winning the league in Ajax and the Eredivisie. No, probably got a little bit more experience than Mikel Arteta, so who knows what they can do. But Man United, with the quality they've got, with the manager they've got, they definitely can challenge for the league and win it.
Thank you very much this afternoon to both Matthew Key and Josh Bailey at Ellen Road. Let's quickly go over to Italy for a very quick final update from Bologna against Monza. Did Monza hold out Matteo Liguri for a second successive away win?
Yes, indeed they did. Everyone is hugging goalkeeper Di Gregorio as he produced a wonderful save just at the 96th in last minute of the game. I think we're only waiting for the final whistle. Monza won 1-0 in Bologna, and this is a decisive result for their European push. So I'm going to repeat it. Monza 1, Bologna 0.
Excellent. Thank you very much this afternoon, Matteo Liguri. Jordan Nicolai has been watching Hertha Berlin against Monchengladbach, and it's 2-1 in that game last time we heard to Hertha Berlin. Well, what an afternoon it's been, hasn't it? What a weekend it's been. It's been an absolutely great weekend. Yesterday, West Ham 1, Chelsea 1, Leicester 4, Tottenham 1. Arsenal could only draw with Brentford 1-1. Fulham up to 7th, a 2-0 win over Nottingham Forest. Palace 1, Brighton 1, Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. That was a go-to score yesterday, wasn't it? 1-1. Southampton 1-0 up against Wolves. Down to 10 men, Wolves. Scored 2, 1-2-1. Nathan Jones sacked today as the Southampton boss. And today, Leeds United 0, Manchester United 2. Tomorrow, it's Liverpool against Everton. Wow, what a weekend it has been once again in the Premier League. Incidentally, talking to Josh there just a few moments ago about Manchester United, are they back in the title race? Well, next weekend they're at home to Leicester, and then their next 5 league games are away to Liverpool, home to Southampton, away to Brighton, away to Newcastle. 2 big games those, away to Brighton and Manchester to Newcastle for Manchester United, and at home to Everton. Leeds United go to Everton next week, and then the following week they're at home to bottom of the table Southampton before 2 trips to Fulham and Chelsea. Fulham in the FA Cup, and then they face Brighton, Wolves and Arsenal. So some tricky fixtures coming up for Leeds United, and another loss for them today, still waiting for their first victory in the Premier League since way before the World Cup got underway. In fact, it was October. That is relegation form, and that's a real problem for Leeds United, who need to get out and get themselves sorted with a new manager as soon as possible. There's some big games coming up, Everton away and Southampton at home. Of course, we will have them games covered right here on Football Live. We're back next Saturday afternoon with a cluster of very, very exciting Premier League matches. So be sure to join Josh Bailey and the team next Saturday afternoon. Thank you very much to Pat Norat, who's been our producer today. Thank you very much to Matt Key, Josh Bailey, Jordan Nicolai and Matteo Ligori. I'm Barry Swain. Thank you very much for your company this afternoon. Back to the Briller FM studios.